Hello, I'm the Dark Master, and welcome back to the history of Mississippi. In this episode, we will be discussing the Ordovician Period, the second part of the Paleozoic, which set up the marine biology that would become standard, despite the fact that the end of the Cambrian saw the death of a lot of the more alien phylum. This event, titled the Ordovician radiation, would have lasting effects that remained stable until the Mesozoic Marine Revolution. These effects included the diversification of nectonic organisms that ate plankton. While the anomalocarids dwindled, their contemporaries, the trilophytes, continued to flourish. These are different from the more basal Cambrian ones, however. Many grew sharper spines, bigger eyes, stronger armor, and the ability to curl up like pillbugs. One went as far as to develop an actual trident. This period also saw the largest species ever to evolve, Isosceles rex. Why would they need to develop stronger armor? Well, one reason would be the evolution of the first cephalopods. Nectocaris is a possible cephalopod from the Middle Cambrian. However, this is controversial. The Pleconceras is the oldest confirmed cephalopod from the Late Cambrian. The first true cephalopods evolved from Plecoceras. They were the elasmocerids. At first glance, they resemble large slugs with heads like a squid. They dominated the early Ordovician before being joined by their floating relatives, the largest of which, Camoceras, could grow up to 6 meters, or around 16 feet for smart people. These orthocones weren't the only new predators of this time. While the Krakens ruled, a new group evolved, the Eurypterids. Also known as sea scorpions, the first of their kind, Pentasylpharis, evolved in the Middle Ordovician. Having evolved from a Cydia-like ancestor in the Cambrian, but it was in the Ordovician period that they first radiated largely, especially the Megaceaptoidea, which lacked claws of true scorpions, and which resembled Edward Scissorhands mixed with lobsters. The Eurypterids were second fiddle to the cephalopods, but still formidable predators that could easily amputate a limb and catch their prey. Reefs were rare and made of algae and sponges instead of coral, but became more predominant in the Ordovician. Bryozoa were the only new phylum to evolve after the Cambrian explosion, and would go on to be important parts of sediment stabilization and binding. Grapholites were a strange group that first evolved in the Ordovician before going extinct in the Devonian. They slowly floated or sank through the water column. Despite their appearance, they were more closely related to us than to sponges or corals, being a distant relative of acorn worms and starfish. Another group that I had forgot to mention last episode was the Conodonts, an offshoot of our family tree which thrived until the Jurassic. They at first glance resembled lampreys, yet had way more teeth, because for some reason animals without jaws still needed teeth. They most likely hunted and were much more active swimmers than today's lampreys, which are mainly scavengers. Our true ancestors coexisted with the Conodonts and emerged in the Ordovician. They were called osteoderms. The first were paratapsid-moricelids. Pterapsis, which resembled a heavily armored tadpole, was an example of them. They too lacked jaws, but were more armored than conodonts and sucked in food instead of biting it with their teeth. While this happened in the ocean, major developments occurred on land. From green algae developed the first land plants, which were similar to mosses. They drew CO2 out of the air, and with no predators, they turned the land green. However, where there's life, there must also be death. The mass photosynthesis caused a lot of CO2 to be absorbed, which cooled the planet. This, along with volcanism, caused glaciers to form, which lowered sea levels, which exposed many of the shallow sea communities to deathly radiation. This was the end of the Ordovician world. This is called the Ordovician Silurian extinction event and is the third largest of the Big Five, the 5 largest extinctions in the history of the world. 49% of all life died, not just one species, but over 49% of all life died. The brachiopods and bryozoans were hit the hardest. Even the successful trilobites had 3 entire orders go extinct, which set off a gradual decline that would last until the group's final extinction in the Permian. This would set the scene for the next period, the Silurian, which we will discuss on the next episode of The History of Mississippi.